Welcome back to Chris Wyatt Reports here on the Dali Africa channel. You know, it was a while ago that Bill Engvall came up with his shtick. If stupid people wore signs, you wouldn't bother to ask them questions. You know, and to follow, he'd tell a little story about somebody ask something painfully obvious, just a rather stupid person, and go, here's your sign. Well, this week's Here's Your Sign award goes to the Legal Practice Council in South Africa. Hey, LPC, here's your sign. The Legal Practice Council has accepted advocate Dali Mpfou's ludicrous argument that no one from his Eastern Cape village would have found it rude if he told them to shut up in isiXhosa, and ruled that his use of this phrase at the Zondo Commission last year was not disrespectful. What? Now, this all stems from a condescending, racist, misogynist rant by Mpfou during a commission hearing in March of 2021, when Dali Mpfou told Public Enterprises Minister Pravin Gordhan and his advocate Michelle Leroux they must shut up while objecting to Leroux's line of questioning. According to the LPC Disciplinary Committee, Chairperson Dr. Ramola Naidu, speaking for the committee's majority, who are clearly delusional, this is what he had to say. Mr. Mpfou's utterance of the words shut up was neither rude nor could they be interpreted as rude and discourteous conclusively on an objective test. And based on the ordinary grammatical meaning of these words, as used by other members of his rural village by at least one senior member of the Johannesburg Society of Advocates to another at a different public forum prior to the incident, and by the evidence of an article concerning utterances by the Chief Justice of India, who used those same words to ask an unruly group of lawyers in court to keep quiet and stop talking. What? So because someone else was disrespectful and rude, that set a precedent because you didn't sanction them, because a senior member of the Johannesburg Society of Advocates is a rude asshat, that's okay. And because the Chief Justice of India, trying to control the courtroom, told people to shut up at a proceeding he was in charge of, you're saying it's okay for someone presenting testimony to tell a member of the government and their advocate to shut up. It's just this ridiculous and asinine. This is why South Africa has become a joke. It's not a failed society. It's not a failing society. It's a collapsed society. This is a joke of the highest proportions. Now, Naidu continued. He says that Mpfou said he told the committee that English is his second language. If he'd been allowed to use his mother tongue, isiXhosa, he would have said tula or vala umlomo. Tula means shut up. Vala umlomo means closed mouth, both of which are acceptable expressions to ask another person to keep quiet. Both tulo and vala umlomo are used in ordinary language in the Eastern Cape where he was born and grew up. No one in his village or community would consider these words offensive, disrespectful, demeaning, or insulting. What? First off, that's a very, very poor characterization of the use of both words in isiXhosa. That is just a fraudulent, outright lie. How stupid do they think we are? They think that nobody speaks Bantu languages other than people with dark complexion? Morons, bigots, and racists to make that assumption. Second, who cares what is said in his village? He's not in his village. He's engaging in a conversation with the Zondo Commission in a different venue, and that's not acceptable. Hey, in my language, somebody like Dali Mpfou was a pissant. Shall I go around calling him a pissant, or will he file charges against me for criminal injuria by calling him a pissant? Nah, in my culture, that's acceptable. It's not an insult, just somebody with slow-witted behavior. Now, Naidu continued saying that in the committee's view, Mr. Mpfou did not show disrespect for the chairperson, as he was simply standing his ground in good faith in the face of repeated breaches of the rules of advocacy by Miss Leroux. So I guess by that basis, Beckett Seeley is okay too, because he just was, being disrupted by Ian Cameron. Seriously? Well, News 24 has posted some readers' comments about this, saying that it's absurd, the LPC ruling on the shut up outburst. Now, one user, going by the username Trojan, wrote, "It's good to know the LPC is saying we can use language to abuse another as long as we can justify it as culturally acceptable in our own language. After all, this is exactly what South Africa needs. People from different cultures hurling abuse at each other in non-abusive, culturally myopic, acceptable ways." Bravo, Trojan. Got to say that's brilliant. So by that token, Penny Sparrow and Vicky Momberg should never have been prosecuted. They were simply expressing something from a culture they grew up in where it was normal to address black South Africans in that fashion. Why were they convicted of crimes? Now, the standard cannot be your small hometown village or isikosa, as this is not the context where it's used, which is what I said. The utterances must be taken in a legal setting with legal professionals. The bottom line is Mr. Mpfou lost his temper, just like Minister Tsile did, and they make it a race issue, thus diminishing the actual racism that takes place on a daily basis. This by simply sense. And these are great comments by South Africans, spot on. This is absolutely ridiculous. South Africa's legal system is a joke. We already know that criminals are rarely caught, seldom charged, less frequently prosecuted, almost never convicted. The only people they go after are minorities and small fries who are black. That's who they go after. We see hundreds of ANC criminals still sitting office. And don't say, oh, they're just accused. Well, they'll never be convicted because they're never going to be tried. We are still waiting for a decision in Julius Malema's assault case against a lieutenant colonel in SAPS, where he physically assaulted him at Winnie Mandela's funeral. Judgment delayed until September this year for an event that took place years ago. We are still waiting for a conviction on Julius Malema switching the firearm receiver so that they could cheat and pretend that he never fired a live round at a public gathering, endangering the public. We are still waiting for a whole raft of charges to be prosecuted for Ace Magashule. We're still waiting for convictions in the Vreda Farm dairy scandal in the Free State, the asbestos contract. We're waiting for Zandile Gumeda's case. We're waiting for a charge to be filed against the former Minister of Health, Dr. Zweli Mkhize, who hasn't even been charged, yet he's been removed for corruption. Still sits in Parliament drawing salary. South Africa is not a land of law. It's not a land of the rule of law. It's an embarrassment and a joke to all Africans, to all Homo sapiens. And this stuff needs to stop. Carrying the water, this twisted logic is just utter nonsense. Where was this twisted logic in the defense of Vicky Momberg, in the defense of Penny Sparrow? Hounded into death, Penny Sparrow was, for her bigotry and racism. But Dali Mpfou can be a misogynist and utter racist comments in a court hearing, and he's excused by the LPC. Grow up, wake up. Folks, this stuff needs to stop. It's the same on this side of the Atlantic, where people can break in and disrupt the Kavanaugh confirmation hearings by breaking into a federal building, locking their arms, chanting and singing, not charged with crimes. Yet people who walk into the Capitol building the 6th of January when the doors are open for them, they're wrong and should be charged misdemeanor, get 43 months in a federal prison as a convicted felon. What about those insurrectionists in Seattle at the Capitol Hill Autonomous Zone declaring their own republic? No action by Washington, no action by Seattle, no action by the Trump administration. There's your real insurrectionist. Hey folks, if you're not a subscriber, hit that subscription button and give us a like here on the video. Leave your comments behind. We appreciate your support. Cheers.